True wealth is not counted in vaults or displayed in glittering towers, but resides in the freedom of a mind that cannot be bought or shaken. For the Stoics insisted that the man who has mastered his desires is wealthier than the one who commands legions. Imagine yourself high above a city, in a room of glass, where lights flicker across the horizon, screens glow with rising numbers, and voices pulse with ambition. Yet beneath the surface of this brilliance lurks unease, the fear that a single turn of fortune will send it all crashing down. Now step outside into the quiet of early morning, the air cool, the ground wet with dew, and in your empty hands you feel no loss but a strange calm, because here wealth is not absence or presence of coins, but the discovery that sufficiency was always near. The Stoics direct us toward this paradox, that abundance without virtue is emptiness, while simplicity with wisdom is abundance. And once this lesson takes root, the world itself shifts, no longer dazzling with temptation but clarifying into what is useful and what is not. Epictetus, once bound in chains, taught that he was freer than kings because his thoughts were his own, while emperors surrounded by treasure trembled in fear of loss. Seneca wrote letters to remind himself and others that luxury enslaves if not mastered. And Marcus Aurelius, burdened with the empire itself, whispered in his meditations that possessions fade like mist and only the practice of virtue endures. Picture yourself walking through a market of your own life, stalls overflowing with objects that call for your attention, each one promising happiness if only you would reach out and grasp it. With Stoic vision, you see them differently, not as saviors, but as indifferent tools, capable of serving or enslaving depending on your hand. The modern marketplace is louder and brighter than the ancient forum, yet the song is the same, a siren melody urging you to believe that wealth is more and more, while the Stoic melody counsels that wealth is enough. Imagine holding coins, feeling their cold weight, then releasing them one by one into a stream, the sound crisp as they vanish beneath the water, and in that act of release, you discover that your peace was never in the coin, but in your ability to let it go. Real wealth is this strength, the strength to let go without despair, to lose without collapse, to live without begging fortune for permission to be content. Think of a table filled with golden plates, meat steaming, cups brimming, laughter echoing through marble halls. Then think of a wooden bowl of lentils eaten in quiet, and ask yourself which meal fed the soul more deeply. The answer lies not in flavor but in disposition, for the banquet can leave you hungry if desire devours you, while the simple meal satisfies when taken with gratitude. Wealth is not the abundance of dishes, but the absence of craving. Walk now into your own memories of times you felt richest, perhaps not when your account was full, but when you realized you could live without what you once thought necessary, perhaps in a conversation that lifted your heart, or a sunrise that painted the sky with fire, moments where nothing was bought yet everything was gained. This is the wealth the Stoics speak of, a fortune woven not of gold, but of perspective. And when storms come, when markets crash, when the external world trembles, the one who has built wealth within remains unbroken, because his treasure was never at the mercy of tides or rulers. Envision your final day, when possessions scatter. Like autumn leaves, and all that remains is the weight of your choices, the steadiness of your breath, the clarity of your mind. What will count then is not how high the numbers climbed, but how free you remained. Not how vast your possessions stretched, but how constant your peace endured. The Stoics ask across centuries whether you will be the beggar in gold, forever needy, or the sage with little, forever rich. The answer does not wait in the future, it lives in this very moment, for true wealth is already within your grasp, waiting for you to claim it. When you awaken tomorrow and step into the current of daily life, the question will greet you in subtle forms, in the glint of advertisements on screens, in the chatter of colleagues comparing possessions, in the quiet pull of desire that whispers you are incomplete until you acquire more. The Stoic response is not to flee the world, but to walk through it with eyes wide open, to recognize every temptation as a test of your freedom, and to use each moment as an opportunity to practice mastery. Imagine yourself walking through a store where countless objects sparkle under bright lights, each designed to catch your eye and stir your longing. You pause, you breathe, and you ask, do I truly need this, or is this desire only the echo of a world that profits from my unrest? In that pause lies the heart of Stoic wealth, for you have shifted from being pulled by impulse to standing firm in reason. Wealth, then, is not a state you stumble into, but a discipline you train day after day, thought after thought, until your possessions become companions rather than masters. Consider the power of gratitude, so often overlooked yet central to Stoic practice, for the richest life is not the one that adds endlessly, but the one that savors fully. Picture yourself at a modest table with bread, water, and the company of a friend, and see how this scene contains a richness that no palace can surpass. Gratitude transforms what is small into enough, and enough into abundance. And this is why the Stoics claimed that true wealth is accessible to anyone, regardless of fortune's hand. Even in hardship, perhaps especially in hardship, gratitude shines as proof that wealth is not external, but internal, not a number, but a vision. And when you learn to be grateful, fear loosens its grip, for you no longer tremble at what might be lost, knowing that what you already hold is sufficient for peace. The test of this philosophy comes in moments of loss, when possessions slip away, when status declines, when fortune turns, and here the Stoic stands unshaken because his treasure was never invested in what the world can seize. Imagine a storm sweeping across the sea, tossing ships, breaking masts, scattering cargo, and on shore a man watches calmly, knowing that while the storm can claim goods, it cannot claim his reason, his virtue, his freedom. This calm is the currency of Stoic wealth, immune to inflation, immune to theft, unchanging as long as you hold it. As you move further into this reflection, you see that wealth is not a goal to reach, but a lens through which to live, a way of seeing that transforms scarcity into sufficiency and abundance into responsibility. You are no longer caught in the race to outdo others, for comparison loses its teeth when you measure not possessions, but peace. Envy dissolves, fear recedes, and joy emerges not from gain, but from clarity. True wealth, according to Stoicism, is the ability to face each day with equanimity, to greet loss without collapse, to embrace gain without arrogance, to live as if every breath were profit, and every act of virtue a treasure beyond measure. And so the question lingers for you now, as you return to the rhythm of your own life. Will you remain chained to the restless hunger for more, or will you claim the fortune that lies already within, the unshakable wealth of a soul that knows what is enough?